Everybody, welcome to Athena After Dark. Thanks for staying up to see the show. I'm super excited tonight. I have one of my favorite people as a guest. I have lots of favorite people, but he's definitely way up there on the list. Um, as you know, this is home of the five good things, so we like to promote positivity. If you're having a bad day, somebody you know is having a bad day, just ask them, tell you five good things, or tell yourself five good things. It'll change your perspective. So I hope everybody uses that at some point or another and it helps out. All right, so we still have thing one. We didn't fire him after last week. It was half my fault, half his. I muted the microphone and he didn't unmute it, so shit happens. We're just gonna go with the flow. I like him, so he gets to stick around. Plus, we feed him, so it's not cheap, but he can be had. So we're lucky for that. All right, so we get to talk about the fun coming up for Daytona. All right, everybody, make sure Biketoberfest is right around the corner. And on Thursday, the 13th, which is my son Axel's birthday, give him shout out right before. We'll be at the Willy's Tropical Tattoo Show on the 13th, and that's the flyer for it. And I have the website halfway up. All I got to do is direct it to where it goes. It did pretty good, so that will be up there for everyone to see all this good stuff. Okay, and then after we go to Willy's, our guest tonight, he'll be racing at the Sons of Speed on Saturday, October 15th at the New Smyrna Speedway. So if you get an opportunity, definitely check that out. Come out and see us. I'm hoping to be there. All right, so we're going to get on with our five good things for this evening from our fans. So first night we have Noel from Flagstaff, Arizona. He says, I booked my rooms for my trip to Biketoberfest. See you at Willy. See, there you go. We promote it and they're watching it. So we'll see you there. Make sure you stop by and check everybody out. Thomas, Port Charlotte, Florida. I am learning to pinstripe thanks to Chris Summer Simmons and her Facebook posts. See, my great friends doing great things and we inspire everyone else. So it's your job after that to go ahead and inspire others with what you learn. And then we'll just keep it going. Pass the torch, pass the flag. Nancy Keener, hi, how are you doing? Your photos were beautiful. Okay, let's see. Tracy from Copperhead, Georgia. I have lived here for a few years and rode my motorcycle through the tail of the dragon. It was a challenge, but I did it. Good for you. Very, very good for you. I rode the rattlesnake in Oatman, and that was not pleasant on a big motorcycle. So it's good that you challenge yourself and keep going. Nancy's watching from Maryland. I love that. That is so awesome. Okay, Hareen. I hope I didn't massacre that. It's Heron or Hareen. I think it's Hareen, Middleton, New York. I just met a biker man who asked me to go riding with him this weekend. I am recently single, and for me, this is a good thing. You go get him, girl. If nothing else, you get a motorcycle ride out of it. Don't make him buy you dinner, though. You trade dinner for a ride. That's the good biker girl way to do it. Otherwise, you could be trading something else. I don't know. You guys have to work that out. Joey, Detroit, Michigan. I've been unemployed since 2020, and I got the dream job fabricating for a small custom shop. I start next week. Joey, that's awesome. I absolutely think that is fantastic, and I hope that everything gets better and looks up for you because it starts with the dream job, and it moves uphill from there. Hopefully there's a plateau up there, and, you get to enjoy it for a while. All right, so next we have the Ask Athena, the viewer question of the week. This week it is Manfred from Ocean City, Maryland. What is your favorite part of building a motorcycle? Oh, I have my ears on for this one. Let's see. My favorite part of building a motorcycle, I would have to say wiring. Wiring for me is something that I really enjoy. I put little clips on the frames. I weld them on so that they hold my wires and everything's externally wired. It's accessible, but it's super clean, super tight, super right. I like to be able to go to the show and take the seat off the bike and set it next to it. And there's no rat's nest underneath the seat so that, we don't hide 1,000 sins under the seat and everything is good. And there's a main wiring harness. So yeah, I get in a little bit of a focus every once in a while though. If there's as I'm older, the white wire with the little blue line, sometimes I'll switch it with the white wire, but I figure it out. Lance Baxter, hi, how are you tonight? Thank you for watching. Nice to see you there. I love to see everybody. So yeah, that's my favorite part of building a motorcycle is doing the wiring. I mean, I like fabrication too. I don't have like a plenishing hammer or English wheel or anything. I do that all by hand. So it's pretty cool. That part for me. I like to weld. Some days if it starts out and I'm going good and sizzling bacon, then I'm happy. And if it's a sloppy mess, then I just stop for the day and I do my best the next day to make it work for me. So yeah, but wiring has to be the thing for me. All right. Well, thanks for writing in. I appreciate everybody actually sending in the questions and the fan 5 good things. That's nice to see everybody participating. So, all right, let's see. We're going to go to the cultural corner. Okay. So someone asked me the other day to explain to them biker culture and what are our values. So of course I did what every younger person who would think of that first. I thought about it for a while, but I Googled it. You'll like this. So the Google definition is the degree of freedom, individuality, and adventure found in motorcycle riding, and culture distinguishes it as non-traditional in contrast with most car cultures. So Google says, we're in competition with the car culture. It says, and the strong social community formed by motorcycle riders reinforces the idea that their culture exists according to its own rules. So, okay, let's talk about this for a minute, because I'm learning with this show how things are going to best work for me, reading from the prompter, talking a little impromptu, motorcycle culture and the values. So when you think about it, everyone's a product of their environment in some way or another. That's how I look at it. I grew up around motorcycle people who took the lifestyle very seriously. And then I had friends who were motorcycle enthusiasts who took motorcycling very seriously. So there were two separate entities as to how the world perceived them. Some of the motorcycle bikers, as we'll say, versus the motorcycle enthusiasts, they were looked down upon. They weren't really welcomed into society because they were different and they wanted to do their own thing. They were all about, country and love for one another to a point. And I guess because they stood their ground and didn't take a lot of crap, they found a way as, becoming stereotypical. Whereas the enthusiasts who rode motorcycles paved the way. I mean, we have women who rode across country and they had a lot of the same things, but people that owned dealerships and they rode in groups and they raced and things like that, they were a little different. But I think when it comes down to it, everyone's values are pretty consistent. The love of our family, the love of our friends and those around us, the motorcycles that we love. So we have that common denominator, which brings us all together. That, when you intertwine it, brings out the culture. Some groups like to dress to the hilt in the black leather and bling out their motorcycles. Some would rather be the flat black in the corner and not be noticed at all and just do their thing, So you have a gamut that you can go in between. And I think that everyone shares a lot of values: camaraderie, respect. Of course, you're going to get your bad apple here and there, people that don't feel the same way. That's fine. But in a positive manner, most motorcycle people, bikers and enthusiasts alike, are always the first ones to stand up when there's something needed for charity or there's a hurricane. Oh yeah, we're having a hurricane this week. That's pretty interesting. But when there's stuff that goes on and someone needs help, the biker community usually steps up. The motorcycle enthusiasts, the dealerships, they all step up and they participate. So I think our culture is doing pretty good. And I don't like Google's transformation. We'll ask our guest tonight. Maybe he'll have an answer. He's pretty philosophical. I think that was the right word. I'm tired. I have no idea. It's been a long week already and it's only Monday. Okay. So next is the product pick of the week. Yay. This one didn't get its fair share last week, so I decided to do it again. Baker drivetrain. Okay, everybody knows I support stuff that I like to use. I like quality products. So this week it's Baker drivetrain. That's who I want to rave about. They have this new thing called the N1 shift drum. The N1 shift drum has a 0 down, all up shifting pattern, and it's supposed to eliminate the possibility of catching neutral on aggressive first to second gear shifts. Makes perfect sense to me. I'm excited to try one. So that's next on my list of things to add to my project that I'm working on. Neutral is below first. So the N1 drum is also popular with the hand shifting bikes. I love my jockey shift. And that's, helps finding neutral without any kind of doubt or error, which is critical to safety. And then there's smooth riding. So we definitely want to try that out. That's on my list of things to do. So I will get back to everybody and let you know exactly how I enjoyed it, which I know I will. Baker products are made in America. Bert and Lisa Baker are fantastic. Their family, their kids, their whole crew. So why not support them? That's the way to do it. Dennis Stauber, I want me a grudge box. Oh, there you go. Okay. I like the little comments. I'm learning how to read them, so that's super cool. I put my ears on so I could see. Ha, that was almost a blonde moment. There you go. Sorry, no pun intended to my blonde friends. I was just joking around. Next, let's see. We have Community Corner. This one is close to my heart. The Palm Beach Toy Run. Okay, Bill's Bikes always sponsors this. This is where in our area the Marines come and they help collect the toys. So on December 11th, which is the second Sunday of the month, they're going to have Bill's Bikes Toy Run. We don't have a large toy run down here in South Florida anymore. We used to have Toys in the Sun Run. It's kind of gotten smaller. And so this event has been going on for 40 years. They do so much fundraising. And again, the Marines are there to collect the gifts. I like that. I always like to salute. They're awesome. I like to thank them for their service and everything like that. So that's our community corner. So if you're in Palm Beach, when it's snowing where you are, you want to come down on vacation or hang out, that's the thing to do. So definitely. Excuse me. All right. So now we're going to our History Happens. This so much isn't already history as it's history that's happening. So recently we've been talking about the 2022 cross-country chase. Last week, our guest, Vicky Sanfilippo, was on the scene, and she was coming live from the run. We had a good time, even though we had some technical difficulties. So we worked right through it, and her and Chris were a ton of fun. I love Christine Summer-Simmons and her together. It's like me and Gypsy. The four of us together is pretty crazy. I have a really good picture of us. Yay. We can see that. Yeah, that's trouble right there. That is literally the Hot Mess Express on 2 wheels times 4. Okay, so exactly what these events are history happening right now. I'm proud of all the riders. Joanne, I'm so sorry. Jody Perowitz is riding in the event. This young girl, Megan, I've been watching her kickstart this panhead for one kick every time. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, so she's riding in the love of, I want to say it right, the love of motorcycles. It's a sponsored program that the Cross Country Chase has put on, and we have the logo for the chase. Thing one, can you push that button for me? You're all right. And we go back up. I like this. I like having thing one. It's like direction. I just got to be able to throw something at them and be like, man, I missed one. So, okay. So I'm super proud of all the riders, the safety, the staff, the medical crew, the badass reporting, my sisters from other misters, Christine Summer-Simmons and Chase Medic, Vicky Robert Sanfilippo. They're like doing it. They're if you get on Facebook and you can see that her Facebook lives, Chris's and Vicky's, it is awesome. It is so funny. I really, really, really love Mr. Callen is busting that I call you Thing One. You like that? I like that. We're getting him a shirt made up that says Thing One. He is my Thing One. We're not even going to hire Thing Two. Okay, so yeah, back to that. This young lady, Megan, I've been watching her on Chris's Facebook and first kick every time. And she's in this program by the love of motorcycles that Jason and Leanne Sims, who put on the cross-country chase and the motorcycle cannonball events. This is a program where it sponsors younger riders to go ahead and participate and ride old motorcycles across country. I mean, that's like a dream come true. I would really, really, really like to do the cannonball next year. Don't know if that's going to happen, but hey, if you say it enough times, like Beetlejuice, maybe it'll happen. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm honestly impressed. I am in awe of the whole bunch. everybody. That ride is a beautiful ride, but it is not for the faint of heart. And I know everybody had their trials and tribulations, but it only brought everyone closer together, as those events always do. So that's history happening. They are making history right now. So everybody make sure you get on Facebook and shout out to them and tell them all how wonderful they are, because they inspire us every day to keep going on. And the next little picture there, excuse me, that's Vicky, and that's Chris, and that's Karen. That's our chase crew. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so then this is the good part. This is the part that I enjoy. So our guest tonight is extremely talented. He is multifaceted. He's a world-renowned artist. He is the founder and owner of Cyclosource Magazine. I want to say he's the heir to the Smokeout Rally. Not so much as he inherited it, but he accepted the torch and took on the responsibility, along with his beautiful wife, Heather, to go ahead and, take on the event and bring it back to the life that it was meant to be. He's a bass player for Big House Pete, and he is one of my closest friends. So I have a picture of him doing his artwork. Yes, yeah, I like that. He is absolutely a fantastic artist. And then we have his logo for his band. And I have some crazy pictures because everybody knows I like to show the pictures beforehand. There's him and his beautiful wife getting married in Sturgis. That was awesome. That's awesome. He looks really good there. He cleans up well. And then, there's some really good. And there's a good picture of him and his gorgeous wife, Miss Heather. She's fantastic. They're a good team, very much so. All right, we got a couple more good pictures. Oh, there he is. He's outside Harley, crinkling his nose. He's trying to figure out where he's going. He's lost. All right, and I have other good ones. This one is older one from Hogs and Heifers in Las Vegas. Look at that. And I tell you what, it's too funny. I love to always see his different sides because he has many different sides. The next picture is really good. His gorgeous wife, him, Roadside Marty, and the gentleman in the corner. Not sure who that is. He looks familiar. I'm sure Chris will tell us. I got a couple more. This is one of my favorite pictures. He passed off as Carolyn. He was Carolyn for the day. How good was that? I like that one. And then the next picture there at the MotoGP. Love it. I love it. And they're always so excited about everything. They take on the biggest challenges, and they're super excited all the time. Him and Heather both. And then here we go. There he is playing on stage, Big House Pete. And then, of course, in our announcement today, that's the picture I used in this crazy, shop picture. And then this one, the last one, is good. He looks like he's just ready to just blow a gasket. That's what I mean when I say blow a gasket. That's the look I see on my own face. Excuse me. All right, so we're going to bring in my good friend, Mr. Chris Callen. Don't forget to unmute him.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How are you tonight, sir?
I'm two-fisted drinking, but not like the old days. I have vegetable broth in one cup and Theraflu in the other, and I'm trying to remember which one I'm supposed to sip slowly because it's the nighttime version of Theraflu.
Don't worry, if you nod out, somebody will catch you. Either Charlie Brown or who's on the other cup. One of the two of them will catch you.
Snoopy.
The pumpkin. Snoopy. That is too cool. Yeah, summer's over. So, of course, all the fall bugs are coming out. And, we're around a bunch of Jeremy people all the time doing crazy motorcycle stuff. So that is pretty cool.
So awesome. We're on your show. How long have you been talking about this? You're doing your show.
We've been talking about it a long time. It's very exciting. And it's an honor to have you here because,
And I even wore my pajamas.
You have your pajamas.
I wanted to make sure I fit into the theme of the show. And
I love it. And I put my ears on, too, so I could hear everybody tonight for sure. So how is everything?
Everything's good, man. Motorcycling is in a really good place. Like you were talking at the beginning of the show about, the different values, and some are the same, and how people look at things and everything. And like, we're really getting back almost to a point. It's almost good when the retail side of motorcycling comes down a little bit, because it becomes something that, everyone that's there is there because they love it, you know,
Yes.
and that's always a good thing. And we've been blessed over the many generations you and I have been involved in this already, that foundation exists and it remains there, because those are the things that you have to get through the hard times. Fads come and go and shit
Oh
flies
yeah.
out the window, but what's at the core of it is important.
Right. And that's where we started out too. Like I guess a lot of the younger kids are bringing some of it back. Like they're going to these events where they're camping out, even like the smokeout rally. They were camping and it was raining in the mud and they were just having a good time. And it was like somebody hit the clock and went back 40 years
God
looking
bless.
around for me. And it was like, wow, like, when you took the shot away from the RV side, like, out in the campground, it was digging in the dirt, well, digging in the mud and the clay for sure. But it's nice to see them bringing that back. It seemed that for a while, everyone got away from that.
It is, but you know what my favorite thing was there? My favorite thing is, like, you talked about how, this has always been a melting pot of sorts. It didn't matter where people came from, what they did. Like, once we all got to the motorcycle event, or once we all got to the spot we were all hanging out, it was the same. It was common ground. It was like-minded people, and especially Smokeout. I mean, that's why, to tell the truth, I can't say enough great things about Edge giving us the chance to do this, because we had our own thing for 9 years. We had a thing called the Big Mountain Run.
Big Mountain Run, yeah.
Specifically advertised it. It's really not that good, so more people didn't come. We kept it as far away from the interstates as we could, as far away from any amenities that would have made it comfortable. And that was great, man. I mean, it was a celebration of the culture and everything, but Smokeout, man, I mean, for people that don't know, Smokeout was so important. Like, over a 20-year period of developing what the custom culture was, it was where names like Indian Larry and Ice Cream Man from Hell and Donnie and Jeff from Sucker Punch Sally's, it's where they set the Guinness Book of World's record for the longest chopper.
Yep.
It's where biker build-off started. So this was a big honor for us. But the best thing was this year, because there were so many people saying, can you really bring it back? And, like,
Oh
what,
yeah.
even when early on, when we were taking RV, RV sales and booking RV sites and stuff, people were like, RVs at the Smokeout. And it's like, well, hey man, hang on for a minute. Think about 20 years. Like, 20 years ago, we were 30, and
Right.
sleeping on the ground, partying in the mud. That was great. But a lot of us still
Right.
come there, but we do have an RV, and we'd like to go in and cook our own food in our own kitchen and shit at the end of the night. That's not a terrible thing. What was great was the mix. You
Yes.
you walked over by the front gate, and the Hamsters had like a hospitality lounge set up. And there you saw guys in yellow shirts, dirty old bikers on hardtail choppers, young kids on more performance-based bikes, and they were all hanging out and just partying, man. It was back to that same common denominator, just a love of this culture. It was so good. I
And
was so proud of that.
everything that you guys did too. I mean, not I guess it's hard to put into words, but you challenged everyone to mix. You challenged everyone to come together. I mean, I got to be there earlier and see you. You're out there driving the tractor, putting the dirt, they're dumping the dirt. You're making the raceway, the dirt drag raceway. I mean, and Miss Heather, she's going around, she's picking up tents and doing all, and everybody there, Mark, myself, the whole crew, everybody worked their butts off. But
Mhm.
when it came down to the people that came there, the mix. So you got to see the dirt drags. You got the burnout pits. You had Marty with the booby contest, because that's just, there's no event real with
That's
that.
part of
And
it.
then you put Jack shit there with them too. So like it was an actual controlled chaos on stage for what it was, And shout out to Mailman, because Kevin,
Oh
he
my God.
definitely, they tortured the shit out of him. And Miss Cheryl, she's so good. But when everybody had something, and then the biker games, the strongest biker contest that you did with the motors and the flywheel toss, and I mean, it was a challenge. And then the one thing that I got a video of, but I think one's gonna help me learn how to upload stuff like that. But of the movies, because you have a
Yeah.
regular screen and projector, but back at the Limp Nicky lot, we used to pull out the couches and we'd sit and freeze our asses off under the blankets and watch the old school movies. But there was, everybody came together, every different type, and mixed at every different portal at that event. And it was incredible because they did it in the sunshine, they did it in the pouring ass rain. They didn't care. The bike show, it was fantastic.
And, you know, people said that to me. They were like, oh, man, you know, too bad for you. Saturday wasn't as nice as Friday. And, like, you know, here's the thing. Yeah. Do I wish that Saturday was a glorious sunshiny day and we'd have had way more people come in? Kinda, yes, but kinda no, because we had over 4,000 people there and it was a lot. Like for our first year out, that was a lot to manage. I'm kind of glad that it, you know, curbed it a little bit with the weather. And I'm also really glad that it happened and it made the pronouncement that this is smoke out, because nobody went home. More people came. They partied in the mud. You know what I mean? Like, it's how at that smoke out, man. You know, and all that
incredible
stuff. All that stuff comes from a place of honesty. You know, we didn't pile all this stuff in so that people could say, "Oh my God, there was all this stuff to do." It was just like you said. For people who didn't live, you know, through the 80s, when a lot of this stuff was really getting built up in 70s and 80s, you know, we would go in Pennsylvania. We would just go out to a farmer's field the week before we were having a party. We would use his brush hog and run down all the hay. Then we'd dig a hole with his tractor. We'd put a pig in there and start cooking it. You know, somebody bring a skid steer trailer. Somebody'd have a welder that had a generator on it so a band could play. Everybody pitched in. Somebody brought some booze. Somebody brought some food. You know, like that was, you know, this stuff didn't happen from like the need for turkey legs and official rally t-shirts.
No way.
It was from people just getting together, having a good time, enjoying each other.
And that's what's the best part about our life. I mean, again, people say, oh, you know, oh, you're in it for the money. If I was in it for the money, I would be in a whole different world, because it's the love of what we do and the people that we're around and the experiences. Like, so I have a birthday coming up. It's kind of funny because I like this one because it's an even year. So I can be 27 twice. When somebody says, how old are you? I'm like 27. And then I say twice, you know, so the odd years make it a little difficult, so it doesn't flow so well. But I was talking to this woman the other day, and I said to her, I said, well, when I look in the mirror, you know, I don't see age as much as I see experience. And then I'll go to do something, and I just do it like I'm still 25. And then, you know, 2 days later, I'm like, oh my God.
I'm not 25.
I'm not 27. I am literally 27 twice. But like you said, too, we did stuff that they write stories about, and we get to, you know, so that's why I'm glad to have this, because we get to talk about some of our experiences, and, you know, some of the younger people, it might inspire them. And then we'll have some younger people on that will understand their side of it too, like what they're looking for and what they're looking at and what they think we're really made of. I'd like to know.
Hey, and you know what? I'm not dogging on anybody, but like everybody's story is not the same. You know, in my life, Mama didn't try, and I wasn't born with any kind of freedom. I fought for all of that shit my whole life. You know, it's just, and I said all that just to illustrate, like it's different, man. You know, it's different.
Yes.
A lot of people through my generation have found their way to motorcycling. It was because we were misfits. You know, a lot of us didn't have family. A lot of guys were, you know, the old guys that were there at the time were guys that came back from Nam. So they had, even though they were seen as the lunatic fringe, I even typed that in one of your comments, they were seen as the lunatic fringe and the outcasts of society. They had a very military way about them. You did not come around them and fuck up, because you would immediately find out, you know? And I mean, they were serious. Like, there were rules, man. There were guidelines that you had to follow. You had to keep your shit together. You had to take care of your bike and yourself and your brother next to you. And if you didn't, there was hell to pay. You know?
And a lot of people, you know, everybody's different, like you said, but same thing for me. Motorcycles saved my life, because I would have went in a totally different direction. And my dad, thank goodness, it was guys that he was in Vietnam with, and guys that he had ended up, you know, when he was on vacation that he knew. So, you know, it was a thing. Yes, vacation is prison, the joint, the penitentiary,
Gray Bar Hotel.
Hey, you know, and everybody's different, you know, that's just all part of it. And everybody's got a book and a story. But again, what you guys did, the mix that you brought together, and I'm just so glad, because again, we saw those kids, the kids that stopped to help us, Lane and Rabbit and their dad, Hachu, Pat's Sportster Show. Listening to you tell everybody about it, how it started so small, and I mean there were like 60 or 70 bikes in that motorcycle show,
and everybody was wondering if it was, you know, even Pat was like, well, you know, on Friday, is it going to be worth doing, you know? But you know, the story really there is a guy that was a friend of ours. We were all a bunch of kids together, and you know, like most kids, we all started out screwing around with Sportsters because it's cheap, easy fun, right? And Pat, I remember saying to us, he was like, I'm going to make Sportsters cool. I'm going to make so many parts for Sportsters that you can do so many things with them. And I'll be damned, over 20 years, like he really did it. I'm super proud of him.
Yeah, definitely. He was, and when he said it too, he said it genuinely with his heart, but we were also just fucking around all the time. They were like, yeah, okay, man. Okay, man. Yeah. And then
go on, little buddy, go ahead.
Right. And then something comes out and you're just like, hey, man, I want to put that on the next thing. What are you doing with that? Oh, they're in production. All right, let's have one. We need one of those for the project. But he did. I mean, again, that's, and oh my goodness, the Limp Nicky lots and the, wow.
And so much talent came out of that over the years. I mean, that was Bill Dodge and Paul from Bare Knuckle Choppers, and, you know, Locke Baker was hanging around in that crowd, and Tabor Nash from Nash, and, you know, on and on and on. So many guys, and even some of the people that ended up back in Smokeout, because we all started with Smokeout, you know.
Right. I even got to be in the Limp Nicky lot. That was cool. I enjoyed that. And Galveston was my favorite place, except for the big old cart full of books. I remember that. And
they gave us our whole own bike in Galveston.
It was crazy. All the bikes were on the pedestals. It was just like, okay, you have no idea what you've unleashed. And it was pretty crazy. It was cool. So you ready to answer some questions?
Yeah. Now I'm going to tell everybody that's watching, I purposefully did not look at the question sheet. So bear with me, but I wanted this to be Athena and I have some of the greatest conversations. And I wanted this to be as natural as us picking up the phone and talking to each other.
That's cool, and I appreciate that. Like the first conversation in New Orleans, I remember that. I remember that was a good conversation. That was very honest. That's why we ended up being good friends. Honesty is the best policy. All right, so we talked about how things are. So we do have to. You have upcoming stuff. So you're doing the Willy's Tropical Tattoo Show, which is Willy's is, you know, that's the place.
The reason to come to Daytona.
Yeah, if you're going, that is the reason. So that's on October 13th, and the show starts at 11, goes from like 11 to 4, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so all you non-square people or rectangle, whatever you are, people that ride motorcycles and love a good chopper show, you have to come out. Be there and come and meet the Cycle Source crew. I'm hoping my best to be there. Roadside Marty's going to be the MC, and then if you get a chance to meet Willy, if you get a chance to meet Willy, like, that is my prized possession in my office and my shop, is my Best Evo award. And I didn't even really, and I just threw it over in the corner, and the guy filled out the paper, and I was like, yeah, okay. I'm watching everybody, and Marty's like, whose bike is that? Athena, get up here. I was like, what? He's like, I was like, oh my God. I don't care. It's always by my desk. I love that because that's an honor. That is a real show. That's where we all started. So, and then you're going to be racing at the Sons of Speed, right, on September 15th?
I am, and I'm super excited about this because a few years ago, Tom Kiefer from Franklin Church Choppers invited me to come with him and race on his 1916 J model motorcycle, and that's been a blast. You know, like, it was beyond my wildest dreams to be able to get to do that. Well, for this whole time since Sons of Speed was invented, Roadside keeps telling me, he says, yeah, maybe we'll get a flat broke, 45 together. And I just every once in a while ask him about it and whatever. And like, this is the year, like, we're showing up at Biketoberfest with the flat broke 45. It's going to be my first time racing on a 45, and I'm going to get to call the event. So I don't know how, I think maybe Professional Monkey's going to sub for me while I'm on the track, but somehow I'm going to call the event. I did the first call of my career with Sons of Speed at the Hole and Walled event when they did the 10 Jam, it was called.
Right.
And that was so awesome. They did an honest to God old time motorcycle race on a clay bank track. It was so badass.
A lot of slippery there though. That's That's some slick stuff on the clay.
It was surprising to see guys that have been doing this racing for a few years starting to learn how to back it in the clay. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because
right.
it's a very different approach you got to take as a racer.
Yeah, surface is everything, and as it changes, you have to be on point.
Nope.
You can't mess around. That's exciting, though. So anybody who's out in Daytona for Biketoberfest, make sure you go to the Willy Show on the 13th, and then make sure you go to Sons of Speed on the 15th on Saturday and watch Chris race. So, all right, so we're going to get to some good questions. You're playing also, that's another one. Sons of Speed is where you're racing, and then you're doing the High Seas Rally.
Yeah.
You're playing in the band.
Yeah, I'm actually playing with my Texas band. I'm in a my guys here in Pittsburgh are Big House Pete, and I love playing with them too. The Texas band is a group called the Black Smoke Sinners, and one of its members is Xavier Muriel, who is Providence Psych Works and was also for over a decade he was the drummer from Buck Cherry. So
Buck Cherry, right.
You know, the Crazy Bitch song and all the great music from Buck Cherry. He toured the world with them. Eventually, like, you know, the whole time he was on tour, it's one of my favorite stories about him is while he was on tour, he was constantly putting greasy old chopper parts in the belly of the bus and taking them around with him. And, you know, eventually that led to him being a builder full time and after he left the band. So I get to play music with him. Our singer's father was Dick Wagner, who played with Lou Reed and Kiss and Cooper and all kind of stuff. So he's kind of rock and roll royalty too. And the High Seas Rally, you know, we're doing the pre-party, couple shows on the ship, and like the ship is 3,500 motorcycle people. It's an all motorcycle cruise going to Caribbean destinations. But the best thing is like it's going to be motorcycle stuff the whole time we're on there. Pirouettes are going to be there. Taffy, you know, a lot of the big names of the industry are all going to be there, and we're going to be doing grease and gears stuff and, you know, virtual motorcycle show, all kind of good stuff.
I'm looking forward to that. Okay, let's see. We have Robert Lations.
Rob Lations.
Rob Lations. He says he remembers Limp Nicky Lot with Jeff, Liquid Illusion, Tabor, Fab Kev. Excuse me. Ron Chop Docs was also there, and a great place during Daytona. Miller's right there. Miller's
yeah. So Miller's isn't a thing anymore, right? Miller's.
No.
That's a shame. That was a great shop. That was like an institution of Daytona.
It was. Everything is changing though, you know. Especially here in Florida, everything's got to be Art Deco. We're getting a hurricane. That's going to change the whole backdrop again. Depends on where it lands as to who gets the upgrades. Excuse me. All right, I got questions. So, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Apples or oranges?
Apples.
Hotel or camping?
You know, it goes back and forth. I did my honeymoon over 16, 17 days, and it was a tent and 2 sleeping bags. So it awesome. Depends on the situation.
Okay. Slow, fast, or faster?
Faster.
Sunshine or moonshine?
Sunshine.
Sunshine. And Mr. Baxter said he likes to drink moonshine in the sunshine. So that was a pretty good answer. I like that one.
Now, right, so brown liquor in the sunshine. I like hot brown liquor.
Hot brown liquor. Okay. So how long have you been riding?
Oh, Jesus. I forget how long it's been now. So I got my motorcycle license before I even was driving a car. And I started on they were called MX-60s Yamaha used to make. I think I was maybe 6 years old at the time. So, you know, it's a lot of years.
I see with your grandkids too that you're doing that very same thing. You're making sure that they're just going right along. Me too. I'm telling you, and it's phenomenal. They inspire the little ones like that.
Well, and you know, even more than the inspiration to someday be a motorcycle rider, which is good for all of us. I'm a country kid, you know, so your bicycle was your independence. The minute the bicycle had a motor, your independence increased, you know, and I want them to have that same thing, man. I want them to be fearless, and I want them to, you know, have a thirst to explore the world.
And that's what matters. And I saw a thing the other day, and it said a lot of people chase dreams, but they give up on them because they never come true. But if you stop chasing them, they never will. So I
Mhm.
was like, that was pretty cool. So how long have you been wrenching? Because I know you wrench on motorcycles. You've built quite a few motorcycles. It's part of your.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to my childhood, I grew up part-time with my grandparents, and my grandpa came up through the coal mines first, graduated to a nice job in the steel mill, graduated from that to having his own two-pump gas station. Well, a good part of his life was spent in the garage keeping the neighborhood cars and trucks ready to go to work for people. So I've kind of always been around it, and being a broke ass country kid, like you have to learn to
Right.
fix stuff.
Oh yeah, it's out of the necessity is the mother of invention,
Yep,
right?
damn
That's the
straight.
God's honest truth. All right, so what are your favorite rides? What's your favorite motorcycle to ride? And then what is your favorite route to ride?
My favorite motorcycle to ride is whatever I'm on at the time. I'm lucky enough and truly blessed in my life that I have panheads and shovel heads and evos, and I have a bike for the Bonneville Salt Flats. So literally, it's like, when you do something different for work every day, it from one day to the next you're rejuvenated in it. Like I like jumping between motorcycles because if the shovel head's acting up, I go, okay, cool, sit in the corner, be pissed off, stay home. I'll take the panhead.
Oh, it's like having a harem, right?
Well, yeah, and then they all get together and your life is miserable.
Yeah.
My favorite ride ever. I mean, again, to say that I'm blessed, I live in southwestern Pennsylvania, and I can ride all day within 15 minutes of my house and have beautiful rides, like roads like the Dragon, that are right here, hills and valleys and cool twisties. But my favorite ride ever was I did on the first ever Hokahay that you guys were my crew chiefs for. I did the entire Alaskan highway.
It
And
is phenomenal.
not because, I mean, yeah, the views are beautiful, and there's a level of serenity that you reach that's unparalleled. But to have that much isolation, you start to realize what your place is in life.
Oh
And
yeah.
you literally don't matter. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? And
Yeah,
like that,
you'll get eaten, and
it just
nobody'd ever know it.
it aligns your perspective and your
Definitely.
priorities, you know.
I definitely agree with that. That's something, and I've had the opportunity to ride that road, and it was incredible. But when they have things in the gas station, when you get to a fuel stop, and the book is about bear attacks.
Right?
Everything's about bear attacks. You're just like, okay,
Yeah. Dude,
the bear's sitting in the pond scooping fish, and he's taller than me while he's sitting in the pond scooping
and
fish.
listen, I'm from Pennsylvania. I've seen plenty of bear, but I'm going to tell you right now, my second day on the Alaskan highway, I took my bear repellent and threw that shit away to make room for
Yeah,
more tacos.
right.
Because there
Because
was
they're gonna
no
do no
no,
good,
there was
right?
no reason. There was no reason to have that because the bear up there, like when you come past a bear here, the bear like run into the woods and they're like, oh my God, a person in a vehicle. The bear up there, like, hey, what are you doing out here?
Dinner.
Yep.
You could be dinner, yes, definitely. And that's that thing. When I got off the so we shipped our motorcycles up there, and I got off the plane in Fairbanks, and they have this big um, uh, polar bear, and he's stuffed, like taxidermy, but he's standing up tall. And I stood in front of him, and I barely came up to his belly. And right then, I knew that no matter what, I needed to very much pay attention to the
Yep.
fact that I don't matter. Right? I could be dinner for anybody, and
No.
nobody ever noticed because they just eat you.
And dude, I mean, on the Hokahay, it was a race, and I think I did 9,000 miles in 11 days. The winner was 2 days ahead of me. So
Right?
the racing part of it almost didn't matter, but you do without sleep for so long because you're going, 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 and then once you get up, you go through three provinces of Canada, and finally
Hmm.
get onto the Alaskan highway, and the sun stops going down.
Yes.
So it literally just goes from like afternoon to morning to afternoon to morning. And you have no realization that, hey, I should have been asleep like 12 hours ago. So I got to the point where I woke up a couple times riding somebody's motorcycle. I had no idea how I had handlebars in my hand, but knew that it was time for me to pull over and sleep. I was wildly hallucinating. And I started slowing down and I drift off the side of the road because part of it was on the okay, you had to sleep beside your motorcycle. No hotels, no bullshit. So as I'm coming to a stop, I see this hump of something. It looked like roadkill there. And as the motorcycle chugs to a stop, I look down and it is a porcupine that's the size of a collie dog that
Oh
something
shit.
had just bit the entire head off. And one, I mean, you could see that it
Oh
was
my
just one bite. Something took the whole head off of this thing. And I clicked that fucking motorcycle back into gear, boy.
Oh my
I
god,
said, I got
yeah.
45 more minutes in me, no matter what else is going on.
I'm not stopping here. Exactly. And that's crazy too, but that's so from Dawson's Creek, Canada, all the way up the Alcan, that I guess between the elk, the antelope, the
Yeah.
bears, the all of it. And we stopped in
Moose,
a
dude.
oh,
Moose.
and
And
they're mean.
yeah, well, they're
They don't
and not even mean. They just do not give a shit. A moose doesn't
and they
care if you're in a tractor trailer and coming to a moose. I guarantee you, he does not
don't
care.
care.
Does not
No.
care.
They walk around well the caribou in Fairbanks, they walk around like in that show from the 80s, Northern
Yeah,
Exposure. And I went there thinking, oh, I'm going to see the Northern Lights. I get there and I'm like, it's light 23 hours a day. And then for an hour, it's hazy. Thank God when I got to Canada, I could go back to having again, a brunette moment. I'm sorry, all my blonde friends, but I'm like, and I'm sitting outside and I was with somebody who camping to him was no HBO. So we're in a campground and I'm teaching him how to build a fire with the kindling and all the stuff. And he gets mad and he goes in the tent. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a shit. Right now at this point, I just need the fire because the little white flies and all the bugs are everywhere.
you
It's
know,
summertime. And I look up and there it is. And they're dancing across the sky. I didn't
nice.
even tell him to come out of the tent. He wasn't worth it. I was just like, yeah, you can stay your miserable ass in there. I'm going to watch this myself and enjoy it. So that was my evening. But it took all the way to Canada. And I was like, shit. In South Dakota, that's the one thing I like about Sturgis. We traveled back because I went from the North Pole all the way to southernmost point.
Yeah,
I live 100 some odd miles from there. So to go past my exit, everybody else chickened out. But I had to do it. You know, you can't
yeah.
not. But it was crazy because in South Dakota, we were at Dave's place, and from Clockworks, he has a cabin out in the woods, and I was outside and I was on the phone and I looked up, and you know, in the school book you see the Milky Way and they show you that picture.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone and I look up and there it was. Like I could touch it, and I was just like, "This is incredible." Because in Florida we don't have that. We have sodium lights. Everything's flat. You know,
Yeah.
alligators are the highlight. You know, somebody gets new boots out of the deal if you run one over. The deer are like the size of a pit bull. So, you know, the only thing that's a little challenging, like if you go across the state through the Everglades at night, is the panthers, the black panthers, because they're a little spooky. But the rest of it's just spiders and snakes and, you know, normal jungle shit. So you guys have all the cool twisties
When
and
you're saying Black Panthers, you mean rah, not right on.
no, yeah, I mean raw, like eat you. Like, yeah, you don't want to run out of gas going across Alligator Alley. Even though it's called Alligator Alley, the alligators are only a problem if you hit them with
Yeah.
your motorcycle. But the panthers, it's like if you pull over or you run out of fuel or whatever, they will eat you. And you only see their little green eyes. You can't see them. So
Oh,
they're
how
horrible.
about that?
Okay. No, camping's not good out here in the Everglades. We only take the people we don't like out there. Ha ha. I didn't say that out loud. I did. Stop that. That's that little bubble that pops out right in the Batman, right? That's me, the Hot Mess Express. All right. So, what is your absolute favorite song?
Ah, I don't know. I think that changes with age too. You
Okay.
know, for the most part though, because as many people as I'm around all the time, I'm kind of not, believe it or not, I'm not a big people person. That's sort of what drove me to motorcycles because I enjoy being around like-minded people. I have zero tolerance for assholes. So one of my songs of all times is Pantera's 5 Minutes Alone.
Oh yeah.
And for that reason, please
That is a
just
good
hit me.
song. Yeah, right. That is good. And I mean, I've known you quite some time. I know that you have very zero tolerance for assholes, but you project that out in the world. Like, there's an asshole that thinks he wants to approach. Your sign says, think about it twice before you even do it.
You
I
know,
have
I don't want to come off as a tough guy because it's not about tough guy, but it's just
no,
like, you started out the show talking about enjoying life and staying in the positivity. I think at this age, I have no time for that. I don't have extra time. You and I are both on the downward swing here. So I
right,
don't have time for assholes. Like,
right,
go figure that shit out on your own. I'm gonna be over here.
right. Doing stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So the next question is, who is your childhood hero and why?
My grandfather. I've God, in 25 years of doing the magazine, I've written about him many, many times, dozens of times, but he was my hero because he was that generation, that grew up without a lot of stuff. So when he got to the age where he could actually provide for his family, and be the host of family celebrations and stuff, that meant the world to him. So those very simple acts and the place that the role that he served in the community, he took care of his community, a very, very hard edge of knowing what his place was in that. And
Kind
it's
of funny that apple don't fall far from the tree, huh?
uh,
Yeah, you take care of the
if I
community.
could be nearly as good a man by the time I die as he was, that'd be a good life because he was the
That is
best.
awesome. All right, so then the next one is, who is your motorcycle hero and why?
Oh, so if you would have asked me this when I started the magazine, or even as soon ago as 10 years ago, I would have said Hunter Thompson. And
Okay.
I have a 49 panhead that I built that says buy the ticket, take the ride. And Hunter was my hero for a long time because, he was willing to talk about things that people weren't, you know.
Exactly.
But I think today, and I think for always, it will always be this way, is Keith Randall Ball. Bandit has been, at present day, he's a climate activist and he's, a motorcycle rights warrior. And like, he's always been the voice of our culture. And I think that was once I figured out that I was a publisher and that I had something to bring to this whole thing, that people were paying attention to stuff that I was doing. I paid more and more attention to him all the time to understand what the rights and responsibilities of that were, and all the way back to, when he got his first editorial assignment as editor in The Wind, and, looking over his career, and still to this day, phone calls that I'm lucky enough to get to have with him, that we talk about things as contemporaries. It's a huge honor. So he will always be my hero.
That
And
is awesome, and I understand that too. One day I'm gonna have him on the show. I have to have the courage to actually ask him, but I love the 5 ball racing and all that stuff. But
mm,
going back from Easy Riders, just the stuff that he used to write, and the first time I met him was at the V Twin Expo, and it took me 20 minutes to actually go over and introduce
yeah,
myself to him.
he's
And I'm just like,
intimidating. He's a giant ass man to
he
begin with.
he is
You
a giant, and in our world, he's iconic.
know?
He's an icon and smart, and always he's always willing to take a chance and
Mm-hmm.
see where it
Thank
leads him.
God.
And he also is, like you said, he's very considerate of the world around us and what's going on, and he likes to be informative. And that, I mean, when he started BikerNet, I was, I like reading the stuff in the canteen. I love all that stuff. I just think that's, and then I guess if that was the teenage crush, when I was a kid,
Yeah.
it was, him and Donnie Smith. He rocked the mullet, and Bandit was just like the thing. Arlen was always cool, but everybody, all the girls were into Arlen. Any motorcycle girls were into them. But like Bandit, he was like, okay. And then Donnie Smith, well,
Well,
Miss Dawn knows.
Bandit though,
Um,
like he was the Clint Eastwood, you know, like all of the strong male figures of cinema wrapped up
yes,
into one being. The Sam Elliott, a little bit of Sam Elliott, a little bit of Clint Eastwood. Like he was the original badass.
you hit the nail on the head with that one, because he is an eclectic mix of all of that
Yeah.
for sure. That's definitely okay. So the next question is, what is your favorite road food?
uh, so it's something that I call snake meat, but it's not actually snake meat. It's
Uh-huh.
cans of Vienna sausage, because when I
Don
ride,
calls it snake meat
does
too.
he too?
He does.
Whenever I'm getting down on the road, like, I have a vest that's full. My riding vest that I put on specifically for road trips has many 1,000 mile in a day, 1,500 mile in a day, coast to coast in 3 days. Like, I have all these little achievements on it. But when I'm traveling, I put a thermos for coffee, I have a coffee holder, and I have a little tank bag that's full of snake meat, cans of snake meat. And I just go, man, and I'll rip off, back to back 1,500 mile days and be in California in two days, 2, 3 days, and I'm in California, and that's like that's where that comes from. I don't have the tolerance for beef jerky and shit like that. Other guys have beef jerky. I'll crack open one of them cans and just, put the bike on cruise control and hit the snake meat.
Well, that's why too, though. You're riding, so you can't really smell it. Because God, if you get past the smell,
No,
when
listen,
Baron was,
I love it. I love it. I
oh
don't I
God,
don't care about the smell.
Don,
I
Don's the
love
same
it.
way. He will fry spam. It's like, the deviled ham stuff, and I'm just like, really? But the snake meat. And when Baron was little and the kids were little, he'd always be like, break out some snake meat. I'd be, what are you talking about? And he'd break out the little Vienna sausages. And there's one, I don't know if it's the Libby or the Armor. There's one that is a preference, one saltier than the other. There's like, we have the whole. I told him one of these days you got to try the little Gerber one, because they sell the baby food one, and the baby food is supposed to be the best. So he's like, yeah, no, just give me the can. I'm like, all right, that's fine.
Yep.
So that's a first for favorite road food. So I'll go with that. Okay, so next, what are your two most cherished motorcycle memories? Nobody can ever pick one, so I gave you the option for two.
The one is for sure, marrying my wife Heather after Sturgis, And when you say that to people, you say, well, I got married in Sturgis. Everybody has this idea of, us standing in the middle of the main street with 100,000 idiots sitting there. It wasn't Raleigh. We waited till everybody went home from Raleigh, and we asked all our friends to stay. And there at the base of Bear Butte Mountain, which, spiritually has a lot of significance for both of us, at Hot Rod Lake, which, back in the days of the Broken Spoke, that was a sacred place for motorcycle people too. We had our wedding there, and that will always be, one of my most cherished motorcycle memories. And I think the other one goes back to, the whole Alaskan highway and realigning my perspective and priorities, coming across that finish line and knowing that I had finished the first ever Hoka motorcycle challenge, and getting to know Jim Red Cloud and his family, and more about the Lakota people and everything that went along with that. That was definitely second.
Yeah, and that was, you started out, like you said, you went 9,000 miles in 11 days and would fall asleep. But you guys started out, we went 3 days before you even left with no sleep.
Yep.
So I mean, I know
That's nuts.
we napped once or twice on the floor here and there. Everybody took turns, but excuse me. Okay, so the next one is, if money didn't matter and you could take a road trip on your motorcycle anywhere, where would that be and with who? I'm sure it would be with your lovely wife, because, and
It
I
would.
showed the wedding picture. That was awesome. I showed some wedding pictures and stuff.
Well, and
So.
she's, not to get super sappy, but my wife is my best friend, and if your significant other is not your best friend, then shame on you for picking that person.
Right.
Because my wife, it doesn't matter if we're working together on the magazine, if we're out in the field doing an event activation, or if we're in the backyard, screwing around with landscaping. She is the other half of everything that I do. So whenever I spent a whole life before I married Heather going to the most amazing places and seeing the Grand Canyon and Sturgis and, the West Coast, and riding, PCH and the whole deal. But trust me when I tell you this, none of that is as important as when you get to go to someone else. Hey, did you see that? That's
Yeah.
when it really becomes special. And, as kind of hokey as that sounds, like it's the sharing of stuff. So having a person that you can share things with is the most important thing you can do in life. And that would definitely be her. And I'm one state away from having all of the United States, having ridden in all of the motorcycle or ridden a motorcycle in all of the United States.
All states.
I have Hawaii to do still, and then I'm done.
Oh, that's
But
cool. We know people there too.
I think I'm down to one or two provinces of Canada, and I'm done with Canada too. So I think it would be. I have a lot of friends in Europe, and
Okay.
I would love to see my boy Big Ollie in Germany. He lives in a town called Gießen outside of look, I forgot now. Frankfurt. I
Frankfurt.
would love to see him, and I would love to just, from what he tells me all the time, going around Europe is like going through the eastern United States here because you can be in different countries that easy. So I would
Really?
love to take Heather and go see a bunch of Europe.
See, that would be good too. And she is, I, I've gotten to get to know Miss Heather, and I absolutely adore her. You guys, it, even in any relationship, like you said, if you're best friend, you're with your best friend. Life, no matter what life throws at
Oh
you,
yeah.
you tackle it, and you're together. And you guys definitely, you both handle the world very well because life always throws shit, but you guys are always, you know, and everybody has their moments. Girls are how they are, and guys are how they are, and then But Don gave me a card recently. It says, "I make you crabby and you make me nuts." It was like a squirrel and a crab, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, I get it." That's funny. But when you're best friends, you can throw that shit around. It's not
Yeah.
all that. So yeah, but you guys definitely make a good pair. So Europe, it is for sure. So if I ever win the lottery, I'm sending you both for sure. That's definite. Okay, so then where are we at with the questions? That was the really, really good one. Um, Now you get to tell us something good about yourself that others may not know.
I'm really bad at
I like that face.
talking anything good about myself.
Well,
Um, if anything, I would say that both my work ethic and my sense of community, just like you said, came from my grandfather, was instilled very early on in my life. And I look at the world sometimes today, and I wonder how I got to the age of a gray beard. And it's so hard for me to say shit like that, but how did I get to the age of a gray beard? But understanding what my roles are and the opportunities to make a difference within my community, and seeing that happen, and see that I have a place now where if there's a need for some stuff, we can make a few phone calls and we can have things happen. you know that's that's probably one of the best things, is that sense of community and work ethic.
oh, I like that. I like that. And you're very philosophical at times. That's pretty good too. I like that. And I always enjoy your perspective. People may not know it. I don't know anybody who hasn't read um, the magazine, like from cover to cover, like every month in your editors, there's always something to learn from, whether it's off of your experience with someone or from your past or whatever. That's always, I think that your perspective you can be from philosophical to just hard ass sometimes, but it's not, it's honest. It's truly honest. So I guess that,
Yeah, and you know where that came from too, is another place of honesty. Like, for people that don't know, the magazine started out as just a free, like, newsprint
local,
circular
yeah,
around my hometown of Pittsburgh. So, when we finally, and the editorial back then was just like every editorial. Hey, this is what's in the magazine this month. This is what we did, and this is where we went. Blah blah blah. When I got the chance to go to the national newsstand, I stopped and I was like, okay, wait, I'm gonna be on the same newsstand as Keith Ball, as Marilyn Stump, as and on down the list, Howard Kelly, like a lot of people that were my heroes forever that I had been
right?
reading. And what do I have to offer in that? And the only thing I could think is, and my grandfather's voice in the back of my head again, was I could tell the stories about the things that I learned from the perspective that I had, which was, Southwestern Pennsylvania, steel mills and coal mines, and my grandfather, and work ethic. And I always just try to keep that in place. It's just, those things are the story of a man consistently trying to figure out his way through life.
Yeah, and doing it, and then taking on each challenge as it comes. So that's good. Okay, so now you get to do the other thing that makes you cringe. You get to tell me your 5 good things.
Oh,
I do this to Chris because sometimes I'll call him, I'll have a bad day. He'll tell me, yeah, where's your 5 good things? But if he's having a rough
Nope.
day, I'll be like, hey, give me 5 good things.
So very easy to do the first 3 right off the rope. My family, my friends, and my health.
Okay.
All the time, or the first 3 things. The 4th is for my life in motorcycling, because regardless of the fact that I dropped out of high school, I'm not a very good speller. Check that out. Editor of a national newsstand magazine, and seriously, like, I write so fast that I don't think about the spelling, and Heather comes behind me and she cleans everything up. Thank God. But my life in motorcycles. Motorcycle people are very tolerant, and they appreciate passion over all other things. So, very early on, people like Dennis and Marilyn Stemp took me under their wings. Keith Ball gave me my first, real advice about writing, and gave me my first copy of Scrunk and White's Critique on Style. And the last thing is looking back over my life, because I've done a lot of this self-reflection lately for some reason. I don't know if it's, I turned 52 this year, if it's just an age thing. But my 5th thing is that I never let money dictate what it is that I wanted to do. And that's, you can take that however it sounds like. Of course, I go out and I set goals to make money with things that I do, but there are principles at play for what I've done through my time with Cycle Source. And it's always been, family and community first. The idea that I have a role to play in what this thing looks like and what it'll be in the future. All of that has always been, way ahead of what the financial benefit of me being involved with it. And I mean, up to and including the fact that once upon a time I had an opportunity to sell Cycle Source magazine for more money than I will ever know in this lifetime. And I didn't, because the guy that was going to buy it was not going to keep it the same as what I'd always done. And if I walk away from everything right now, I can be proud of everything that I did here. Whether or not, 25 years of doing this I had no idea how to run a computer or any of this shit. If I walk away now, I can be proud of my entire body of work. If I would ever sell it to another person, the money wouldn't make up for the disappointment of going, oh man. And right at the end, he fucking ran it off the road, dude. Like, what's up?
And I get that passionate about you because we're friends, and I know that about you, and I've seen all the struggles and strife, and I've been lucky enough to be around to see some of the things that inspire you to keep moving on, the accolades that come with it, even if they're behind the scenes, and that's where, especially with you, it's very genuine and honest, because you truly appreciate that more than somebody handing you a check and going, here.
Yeah.
And that matters. That's the thing that, we want to also pass on to the younger riders and the younger motorcycle people, younger people all together, just to have that,
Because that's the shit you can't buy. I mean, that's the thing. You can put on a costume, you can buy the most expensive motorcycle, you can pay somebody to put the most expensive paint job on it. You can go to the most expensive motorcycle destinations and stay in the nicest hotels and pay for a bunch of idiots to follow you around like you're Christ Almighty. The thing you can't buy is that respect among people who matter in this. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing I hope to live up to that.
Yeah, and it's earning the genuine love and respect from one another. They know that, no matter what, we're all in it together, and we do it because we're passionate about it, because we love the motorcycles. Because you know how that is. Ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. There ain't no money in it. But amazing people that we get to be around, and the cool things that we get to do. It's awesome.
My friends from back home who, as you get further and further into this life of doing full-time motorcycle, you get to see the people from back home less and less. I mean, God, that right now, and this is another accolade to my wife, we'll put our 2 bulldogs and all the shit that we have in our camper trailer behind the Sprinter van, and we'll leave for 2-3 months at a time, and just never go home. We'll make magazines from the road and do media from the road. And, when I come back home and the guys here are still trying to understand what it is that I do, and they're like, man, I'm surprised you still live here. I figured you have a big mansion somewhere. And I'm like, Yeah, it's really not that though, man. Like, you consider I've met all my heroes. I've gone to all the fantastic places that I read in the magazines when I was a kid. I've read about these places and I read about these rides and Rips Run and and all this stuff and
Oh
like
yeah,
I got to do all that, so
and you can't buy any of that with money either.
no, you can't.
I don't.
You
So we
can't
have
buy the appreciation for it either.
right. Rough Boys Biker Movie says nice Rough Boys poster in the back. Athena After Dark is a way cool show. Chris raffled off the Golden Pan from Rough Boys, the movie, on the big stage at Sturgis Buffalo Chip. All the proceeds benefited Sturgis Motorcycle Museum in Charlie's name. How awesome! That's
You know
cool.
what? And that was like seriously one of the most honorable things that I was ever involved with because I didn't realize until just recently I was talking to Keith Terry, like everyone involved in the museum didn't really understand what that whole thing was even. You know what I mean? Like obviously the guys from Paco, Mondo, and everybody got together and they were building the motorcycle was going to be part of the movie that if, you put the clues together, you get to win this incredible panhead. And unfortunately through that movie we lost our
Lost
brother
Charlie.
Charlie. And you know his guy Dennis had called me up and pitched the idea of doing raffling it off and having all the proceeds go to the Sturgis Hall of Fame Museum in Charlie's name in his honor. And in Sturgis that year, man, I mean, it was so busy. We were dragging the bike all over the place, back and forth, to all the different shows, and trying to get those last minute ticket sales. And man, that night, and I'll get choked up now even talking about it. That night, anyone who's ever been to the Buffalo Chip knows that they don't clap at the Buffalo
No.
Chip. If they like something, every motorcycle in the auditorium fires up. It's a big natural auditorium with motorcycles. They fire
And
up
everybody
and
revs the
they
engine,
start
right?
revving. Well, I knew this from all the years that we've been going. So, I told him at one point about, I want you to do what you do at the Buffalo Chip and fire those bikes up and tell Charlie. And the place just went nuts. And like, it's still right now sends shivers down my spine, but that was, there again, man, like there's us honoring a brother. And I mean, it didn't matter what happened to the bike. Like it ended up that the kid that won the bike is it totally deserving,
Mm-hmm.
righteous young chopper kid. It
Yep.
didn't matter how much money was raised for the museum. That was great too, that, they got proceeds from that. But it mattered that we stopped for a minute and said, hey, this is a cat who changed what it is that we do. And at the same time, continued to make sure that the foundation was going to be the same for generations to come. It was,
Yeah.
it mattered that we stopped to pay attention to that.
Yeah, and in the beginning, same thing like when your magazine was Small Time Magazine, Charlie with his online radio show, people laughed at him. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, but not for anything, he made his way just like you did, and like we all want to do what we can, but in the name of keeping motorcycling as we grew up and knowing it and loving it, keeping it alive and passing it on. So that's an
Can I
awesome
get an
thing.
amen?
Oh, I love it. Sound effects. I'm telling you, I'm gonna get you to teach thing one. Somehow we'll get him to do some stuff for you, and somehow I'll just slide in there and he'll be able to push buttons like that too. That's too funny. I'm super, super thankful that you came and you were on the show. It means the world to me more than you know. And I know that, Monday night is the night off. Tell your lovely
No,
wife I said thank you.
I'm glad I didn't read the questions because this is exactly what I was talking about.
I love it.
This was
Well,
one of
you're
the good
always
talks.
you're always very good like that and very honest, and again, I love you to death. We go forever. That's like you're one of my wingman. So, and that's too funny because I couldn't find it to put up there, but my favorite picture in the whole wide world, I got you kissing one cheek and roadside Marty kissing the other cheek, and I'm like, tell everybody, yeah, mess with me when my old man's not around. These two will get you. They're security. They're the road security. That's how it is. So I am looking forward to seeing you at Biketoberfest.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
gonna do everything I can in my power to just hop on my motorcycle at like 6:30 in the morning, just ride on it, have a nice day, and then if
Hey,
I
and
come back
listen,
Sunday or Monday, I might.
if you're out there and have the means to do it, this thing that's going on with High Seas Rally is going to be off the hook, man, because they had to change the event date for 2 years in a row over COVID. So in order to kind of make up for that for everybody, they gave everybody free drinks. So they're like, if you get a ticket on the ship, there is unlimited
Shit.
drinking throughout the entire cruise.
Okay, everybody hear that. High Seas Rally. Hi, Mark Grossmeyer. Have a good night. Thanks for viewing. Appreciate it. I think he's going to bed. I think we kept him up past his bedtime. I can read the comments. I'm learning. I haven't gotten the Facebook ones up here, but I'm working on that. So, well, again, thank you so much. I love and adore you, and I will see you in Biketoberfest. And let your lovely wife, beautiful Miss Heather, let her know that I'm going to hit her up because I want her as a guest too. You know.
Right on.
Yeah, definitely.
She's a good one. I've seen a couple interviews with Heather. It's neat. It's neat when I'm there to overshadow. I feel bad about that sometimes because, you know, Heather has a really unique story in all of this too.
Oh yeah, and she's really good. She is really, really good. I have worked with her, and I mean, totally professional. But she will stop in a hot second and talk to you on camera, and she likes talking to people and all that stuff. And she's got her own thing. So you got to have I told a couple people, I'll have them separately, and then maybe one day we'll do like a almost like a newlywed game style where we have couples, and they answer the questions. So that'll have to be like an anniversary edition or something. All right, kiddo. Well, I hope you feel better, and I will see you in Daytona.
Two-fisted drinking.
Yeah. Two-fisted. All right. Love to you. And give Amelia my love and the puppies too.
Okay. See you in Daytona.
All right, kiddo. Love you. All right, everybody. How awesome is that? Yes. We have my wonderful friend, Sir Chris Callen. Again, wonderful human being, talented, has a great, beautiful family. Super excited. All right. So I'm glad that you all watched, and I'm thankful. Everybody on Facebook, I'm going to add the Facebook comments in there, but at least I can see some of them. They're coming in. So, all right. My 5 good things for tonight. That's what we get next. So I love that I'm learning to bestow love upon myself. People tell you can't love anyone else until you love yourself. That's not an easy task at all. So to learn to love things about yourself and to treat yourself a little extra special is something that's really good. So that's a good thing that I'm learning to do that. Number 2 is my wonderful friends who are doing incredible things. I'm lucky to have them in my life, and the joy that they bring. I get to watch them all out there doing things on the chase and going to, the Lake of the Ozarks rallies, and they're doing just neat things. Chris playing his guitar, doing his artwork, all that good stuff. Next is number 3, being able to understand and appreciate that we are all different and our priorities and values are not always the same, but our common courtesy and consideration for one another is still alive. Camaraderie and respect. So I'm grateful for that. Number 4, this is again and again for me. I am very grateful for my big, wide shoulders that can carry most any load. Seems like the shit gets deep. And I don't know if anybody's watched that movie Encanto. It is a Disney film, and it is a musical. But when I tell you there's the one sister, Tina, I think her name is, she's the strong sister. If you watch this movie, it changes your perspective. But I get it. And yes, I'm glad that my shoulders are big. And then, of course, number 5 is being right here, right now, doing this little show with everybody. I love you all. And then that brings my afterthought. Summer's over. Fall is upon us. Winter is coming. Hopefully summer was fun and good for everybody with plenty to inspire and enjoy you all. That's what we're supposed to do during the summer, have fun. So fall lets us prepare for the upcoming holiday season. Winter lets us pay attention for that, pay for that preparation. So like you prepare all fall for your holidays, and then the winter, January, March, April, all that, you get to pay for it. Pay all the big credit card bills, all that stuff. So this year, maybe if you want to save on money, you can inspire yourself and others to spend their time instead of the money. Volunteer at a shelter. Join the volunteers at your local Meals on Wheels or a senior center. If you must spend money, do it by buying some gifts. Include gifts for kids at the local homeless center, the homeless shelter, the Boys and Girls Club. Maybe be part of a restoration program for bicycles. There's a couple of those here. I think that a lot of the communities do have them. They refurbish old bicycles and they give them out for Christmas. So any of that stuff that you can do. Thing 1 is typing. So, of course, my prompter didn't scroll up. Let me just give thing 1 a beating right there. He's like, yeah, okay. Like, feed me, I'm hungry. Okay, go back up. I missed that part. Dang one. Okay, so yeah, bike restoration. If you can't find a program to participate in anywhere in your community, start one. Go ahead, do it. I dare you. Let me know, and we'll go ahead and we'll contribute to whatever program that you start, for sure. And let us know about it. We'll promote it here. All right. Don't forget, smile big with your heart. Not for any one person, not for a group. Just do it for yourself. Remember to be kind to yourself and others because it matters. And then, of course, we will love that everybody's participating in the 5 good things and Ask Athena. Just email athenaafterdark@aol.com. Send us your 5 good things, anything you're happy or grateful for. Send us questions. Might just read it here on the show. You never know. Get a little perspective from crazy biker chick. Just positive stuff, though. No negative shit. We don't need any more of that. The world's full of it. We just want happy. What is it? Eat happiness all day and burp up smiles all day long. That's something like that. I'll come up with that quote. All right. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And stay tuned as we get better at this. Love to all. Good night. And chopper on. Thanks, Chris Callen, for being here. All of our future sponsors that just got our sponsor deck. Look them over. We'd love to have you here. So, all right. We're going to get better at this social networking. I have the website almost done. I just have to learn how to DNS, shoot it this way and that way. Thing one, he's going to teach me some stuff here. So, all right. Well, love to you all. And we'll see you next week, Monday night, 10 p.m. with another great guest. All right.